Okay, folks, so I'm going to talk about Machine Gun Kelly and his first album, Lace Up, which came out in 2012, right about the end of that year. And I noticed that I want to say that this album is almost a cult classic, but at the same time, the big thing about it is it is still a few records shy. If you've ever had something that was like a 2.5 out of 5 or a two stars out of 5, but you still liked it, that is kind of what this album is. Now, obviously, there's people who could say it's worth more than that, and I would agree. But it just depends upon your mood that you're in. If you're just in kind of I want to take my shirt off mode and get reckless, this is not a 5-star album. But there's definitely, I think this was kind of like the chronicles of Machine Gun Kelly, and when you realize that, you have to know where he's coming from. And so one of my favorite songs that he did on this project was Demons, just because he does talk about the fact that Cleveland, Ohio was not a place. If I'm not sure if that's where he spent his whole life, but he does say that he had problems in his past. And so when you look at that sort of thing, obviously he says, I had a gun in my pillow, and he's really having to be alert. And so the thing is this type of paranoia is good for a song. This is not something that a lot of other genres cover, but I did like the idea of him kind of having that sort of attitude. Now, another one that really works is Wild Boy and Lace Up. Both of these work extremely well. These are the attention grabbing songs, and obviously, you do not have to put a lot of effort into them to like them. They just work well. But the main thing I thought, as far as like his approach, is he's a lyricist, but he's not necessarily putting emphasis on the syllables that he rhymes. So, if you pay attention to what Lil Wayne does, he rhymes words with 3 syllables or 4 syllables rather than just rhyming hamster with camper or something. It's got 3 syllables to it. And so the main thing about it is Machine Gun Kelly does not do this. But I will say that I like Wild Boy. It is not the definitive rap song, but at least from him, it's not his definitive song, but it is a good song. So that's kind of the thing. Is I just felt like if we would have had like 6 more of those songs, it probably would have been a classic, no doubt. So then there was Stereo, and this song, the strange part about it was it did not, it either felt like it was one of two things. It felt like he was talking from the stereo's perspective, like he was the stereo, and he was just watching women listen to the music that he played, and, you know, dealing with that, or he would play his music for his significant other, whoever that was. I don't know. It was strange. I could not figure it out. It was one of those two things. But considering that that was almost a single, this was, I figured for a single, doing that, it just would have been simpler to make a standard song for the ladies. So, but, that's what it was. I mentioned Demons. Invincible was kind of one of those makeshift songs that I said, I could use less of, but I do understand that they needed personality and they needed to know what makes you tick. And the problem with knowing what makes you tick is that sometimes, you're not going to hit a home run every single time. Not saying that this is a bad song or that he does not hit home runs, but, well, I'm trying to think of how I'm going to complain about this. It was this is the type song which lets you know where he came from. But the thing is there are several more of these songs. As far as songs like Wild Boy, Lace Up, What I Do, and those three, it definitely worked, and it worked easily. So that's kind of where you're torn between. I mean, as far as other songs like Demons, the only other one I can think of was Edge of Destruction. So yeah, I think my biggest problem is I'm expecting this project to be like a whole storytelling album versus music. And that's the thing, is sometimes, songs back in the past, they didn't have time to sit there and tell a story to you every single time. And that's what you have to pay attention to. Lace Up and Wild Boy and What I Do Not Do This. He does have some of these, but you're just going to have to really. I mean, I've opened the window for you so you know the types of approach that you're getting. But, a big thing about that is just whether or not it can continue to hold your interest. So we could have used a few more cutting loose songs, and then also we probably could have used a bit more just wild, unexpected songs. Those are two of the things. I mean, it felt as if, I understand the theme of it. This album, they want to show the struggle, and I feel like that may not have been the most important. That may not have been the most important aspect of this project, is the struggle. It might have been seeing what he has to say. And so, obviously the emphasis of this kind of leads to confusion just because we do not get that as often. So what I'm trying to say is, as far as getting like a song like #1 spot from Ludacris that's just, out of the ordinary, that you haven't heard, it's not necessarily on here as much. I mean, I feel like it had its goals, but, we could have used more creativity. So more creativity, more cut and loose songs, and, I would have liked more details. So but that's the reason why I want more details, is because I want to know, step by step what Machine Gun Kelly went through. I would prefer something saying like, this is what I did on this day. It's Tuesday. I woke up on a mattress, and this is what I did. Rhyme something with mattress and get it done. Say what you did at 8 o'clock in the morning, what you did at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, what you ate for lunch. These are things that I want to hear from him, but I just was unable to.